I'm going crazy, sitting on that train, and I don't think I'm ever coming home. Don't think I'm lazy, don't think I'm strange. I do think I'm really just losing it all. 'Cause I'm going crazy. Yes, I'm going crazy.
Happy Friday night, everybody. And how are you? And how are you? And how are you? And how are you? You in the back. How are you doing? What's happening? It's Ray Osier, and it's time for another happy hour-ish. Let me shine some light on the situation here. Me being the situation. Beautiful. I wasn't on last week. I forgot what I was doing last week, but it seemed like the right night to take off. So we are back with a jam-packed show. I'm just waiting for one of my guests. I didn't make a fancy drink because I didn't want to waste any time. And I can't do two things at the same time. So you give me just one sec here, and I'll be right with you. I think I'm close. Hold on. Okay. Oh, there we go. All right. This is my life. I cannot do two things at the same time. It's the weirdest thing. It's not weird. And if you have the same issues I have, then I wouldn't feel so bad. So as I mentioned, I wasn't on last week. All right, now I can put this down. I wasn't on last week. So we're back this week. I got a huge show. First of all, Jere Shea from Showtime's City on a Hill is going to be joining me in just a bit. He has a new web series called it's not The Process, son of a bitch. It's The Journey. That's what it's called, The Journey. And we're going to talk to Jere. He's a fantastic musician, educator, actor, and he knows everybody. So his web series is really cool. He interviews celebrities and stars and people who have made a living at doing what he does, and talks about basically the journey from start to finish, which we're going to get into with Stephen Basilone. Very excited about that. First, though, you may be wondering, who is this guy? Who is this man I'm watching right now? Real quick, I'm a morning radio host and have many other duties at My FM 101.3 in Milford, Massachusetts. I am the co-host of New England Legends, a podcast that comes out once a week. We've been doing it for about 3 or 4 years, nonstop, by the way, Jeff Belanger and myself. And we tell short stories about, New England Legends. What else am I? I used to be part of this threesome here, this trio, Distracted Driving. You can still find us on YouTube. We would just drive around. This basically, you know what Jerry Seinfeld did, right? We were doing it before him. Could have been a ripoff. I don't know. The lawyers are still looking into it. I didn't get too fancy with the drink because, again, I want to get to my first guest. So I just grabbed a White Claw. I am talking to Rushford Brewhouse, Rushford and Sons, which is a brand new brew house in Upton. So excited that we have one in Upton now. So cheers, everybody. Here's to Friday night. Here's to the weekend. Let me just check my comments quickly before we move on. Hey, Jeff, what's happening? Jeff, I'm so excited to have a beer tonight. It's been about 2 months. And Shaw, what's up, Shaw? Hello from Kentucky. Also representing Joy and Raylene from the New England Legends family. That's right. You guys are at a Paracon, or those guys are at a Paracon. All right. So my first guest, before I bring Steve in, I want to play you the trailer for a fantastic movie that I got a chance to see yesterday. I went to the theater, which was a weird experience after a year and about 4 months. But let's take a look at Steven's new offering here.
Ready?
Yep. Stars in flight.
You've never played with a sparkler?
Nope.
Run!
You gotta run with me. Come on. Forever tonight.
I met a girl.
You met a girl?
Uncle Broccoli!
Forever tonight. I came to town to, escape.
I had some emotional problems, and now I'm broke. My life is in total shambles.
Do you want to do shots? Tell me how you know, how you know, how you know. Tell me how you know, it's too late.
Are you real?
You don't know everything about me.
Something's going on with this girl.
There's a reason I was drawn to you.
I'm in love.
Ah. I just watched my son piss in his own mouth.
Let's bring in, let me close out YouTube here. Let's bring in Steve Basilone. Steve, what's up, man?
Not much, man. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for taking the time. You're a busy guy.
Not this week. I
Not
think
this week.
so much of all of this kind of lifestyle is like very busy, and then just some weeks we're just fully just waiting for people to get back to you. So this week, the lion's share of my day today was setting up a new iPhone. So it's not that hectic.
Perfect. All right. So you watch a trailer like that. I love trailers. Big fan of trailers. Always have been. I would love to see movies just made or like the trailer is the movie. I think that would be an awesome channel to have, a streaming channel, just trailers.
I think there's
movies we'll never see.
I think there should be fully an Oscar category for just trailers. Just because, I mean, there's no excuse to have a bad trailer anymore, because if you just throw on some like very manipulative pop song, it should be great. Like your movie can be trash, but you should still be able to make a good trailer.
It is an art form. But when you watch that trailer, how do you feel? Seeing the movie last night, I have goosebumps because I know the movie. I'm not as closely connected as you are, obviously. But do you still enjoy watching the trailers?
Yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised and happy that it was not something I had to make, because as you've seen it, so the twists and turns of it. So earlier when I was in just the nascent days of cutting the movie, talking with my first editor about like, how would you market this? So I think they did a great job. Sony, when we sold it to Sony, they took care of all of the marketing stuff. So I was very pleasantly surprised that they kind of came back and like it gave. I think it's a fair kind of tone poem about what the movie is. It's like a little bit funny, a lot of feelings. There's some music and like hints at the intrigue and like the kind of a little bit of a mystery. So I think they did a great job with it. I was really pleasantly surprised. And we only did a minute trailer because apparently when you're not in the theater, nobody watches anything longer than that online. They're like, a minute. I don't know, who's got time? I have more Instagram to look at. I can't watch anything more than a minute.
Now, if you had your choice, if you could change the trailer, would you add Summer Love as the music for that trailer?
I mean, I would have loved to have a teaser that did that because.
Oh my God! I listened to it all day. It's on iTunes. Though the soundtrack is on iTunes, and that soundtrack is amazing. We'll talk about that later. But this song, one of the characters, Damon Wayans Jr., just blurts out a song. Anybody can write a song. Blue, blue, flippity. I got my flip flop, tippity top, and Summer Love, and then. I don't know. How much do you want to give away about this movie? Because there's so many twists and turns. Where are we with the spoiler situation right now?
I mean, I think the best way to see it, in what I've seen just from audience response and from critics, is just coming in fresh and without knowing anything is the best way to watch it. But the spoilers are everywhere. I mean, there's enough reviews now and there's enough people talking. So I think. Hopefully it'll garner more of an audience when it goes on demand in like a month. Because I think a lot of people were just trickling, as you said, it was the first movie I'd seen in a theater in 13 months. So I think a lot of people were just like, still like dipping their toes back in the water of normalcy. So I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I think it's a good ride regardless, but if you go in fresh, like I went to see it 2 weeks ago, because when it opened, the theaters weren't even open in LA. So I finally saw it for the first time in a theater 2 weeks ago. And when it got to one of the first twists, like two people in the audience were like, wait, what? Like audibly. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if they liked it, but it was surprising.
I was alone and I made lots of noises throughout the movie.
Well, you're
all positive, but a lot of laughs. And I was surprised because looking at that trailer, I thought it was going to be a very romantic, not too much comedy, which is not the fact. There's so much comedy in this. I guess it almost takes every trope from every romantic comedy you've seen. And I'm not going to say rom-com because I don't think it fits in that category, but it's got heart, it's got comedy, it's got great music, like you said. And how do you not fall in love with Zoe?
Oh man, she's just the most charming. She's just such a little charm monster and just the most beguiling and so talented. She has just, her strike zone is enormous. She can just hit dingers from anywhere. No, I mean, as soon as the first day that she was on set with Finn, and Finn is also Finn Whitrock is also just a Juilliard trained classical actor, just brings such depth to everything. But the first day they were on set together, I was like, holy shit, I think we might have a movie. So
yeah. And I fell for him too. I mean, I've only seen Finn, and I know he exists obviously on other planes, but I've only seen him in the American Horror Story and Ratched shows where he plays an absolute psycho.
He's always a great
So my thought was, did Steve watch those shows and think romantic comedy? This guy needs to be in a romantic comedy.
No, because I am a big old scaredy cat, and I don't like the scary stuff. I don't do it. So I was not familiar with like the things that he's been like nominated for Emmys for. I knew like him from Big Short and like Beale Street and A Stupid and Futile Gesture, of which, those are, he's great in those, but they're smaller roles. So
Tim Matheson, how cool is that? How cool is it to play anybody from that era? He got to play Tim Matheson.
Yeah. I mean, a guy I used to work with, actor named Joel McHale, got to play Chevy Chase in that, and I think he must have just loved it because they weren't the biggest fans on that show. They were not the biggest. They were more frenemies. So I think he must have enjoyed getting to play somebody who made his life difficult for some time.
I want to go back and explain to everybody what the movie is, the gist, because I don't want to give too much away, because it was exciting seeing that for the first time, thinking what I thought was going to happen, and then boom, another twist, and then that Easter egg at the way end. We won't get into that, but that's so much fun as well. One of the biggest laughs in the movie gets a great Easter egg at the end. Anyway, you have these two lonely people who cross paths, and I loved how fast this happened. I mean, the movie's called Long Weekend, so there's not a long timeline involved. Whereas some movies, they get together, they don't like each other, they fight, they fall in love, and a year later, they break up, and then a year later they meet again, and happily ever after. This was so quick. And these two people, they meet each other, and you start to wonder, well, is she real? Is she sick? Is she this or that? Because there's always going to be some conflict, and that was the conflict in the movie. And that's really all I want to talk about, other than the fact it was so damn charming.
Yeah, man. I mean, I thank you. I appreciate that. I think, I think some people are going to get on board. You're either going to get on board with a twist or you're not. And I think mostly it seems like audiences it's really resonating. And I think it's such a weird time to launch a movie because, we're still just kind of trickling back to normal life. But I also think it's kind of fortuitously, cosmetically a great time because, initially the Finn character was like, the Bart character was like a conduit for me after having gone through all this like tumultuous stuff in my life. But now we are all that character. We've all like been like, Jesus Christ, when is this going to end? And like, can I just get like a win? Just give me one win. Just give me something like good and small to celebrate. Give me like a small vacation, which is, in large part why it's called Long Weekend. And
I like that we knew Finn had his issues, but it wasn't played on too much. He wasn't depressing through the whole movie. You actually saw after the fact where he's coming out of this and he's just in love with this girl, this new, and I think we've all been there too, where we've had a weekend with somebody that we hardly knew. You never want to leave their sight. It's a wonderful weekend, and then real life sets in. But I think we've all been there where we're just drunk on love at first sight. And these two characters really, really brought that home.
No, they're such facile actors, and if this movie works at all, it's due in almost entirely in large part to them because you buy into their journey and you're in Finn's head the entire time. And if you're not going on the ride with him, then the movie doesn't work. You have to be like his perspective of like questioning things and also taking these illogical jumps and less like saying yes to a chance encounter. So they really just delivered. So I feel very grateful to have had them in this project.
They made me think. I'm married. I've been married for 17 years, but they made me think if I was single, what would I do in this situation? Especially when he thought she was crazy and you don't know which way he's going to go. I mean, there's a couple points where he's like, I don't know if I can deal with this. Yeah. So you have it in your head. What if she is mentally ill? What do you do? And on the spot, I thought I'd stay with her. I'd help her. I'd get her help. I'm in love with this girl. Why would I leave her in her moment of need?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing, because we all want to believe. We all want to believe in hope and magic and love, right? Like when you find that little thing, you're just like, all right, I'll do whatever, because it's so rare and fleeting. I mean, like we all there's so many people out there that are great that you can meet up with and have a nice time and, you know, do some smooching, and that's cool. But when you meet somebody who's like really like, oh my God, this is like oxygen. This is so exciting. I feel like that's so rare that you just want to cling on to that for all dear life.
A lot of their scenes were what seemed improvised. Was there a lot of improvising? You were the writer and the director on this, so a lot of pen to paper on your part. But when they were playing in bed, being the different animals, did you just set the camera on them, let them kind of go at it?
No, that's all written. But, you know, all that stuff was written. But, you know, about having the autonomy of being the writer and the director is like, this was not, you know, a Sorkin movie. It was not, I'm not making music here. It's not Gershwin. So I was like, you know, this movie only works if it feels as real as possible and as organic as possible. So if these words don't work for you, you say them the way you want to. But like all that stuff, like, you know, kissing like a bear or a snake, that was on the page, but like the way that they bring it to life, is so much more intoxicating than anything that was on the page. And, you know, like the things where I let people riff more were like the people who have such intrinsic, you know, comedic background, like the Jim Rash, like the button to that scene where he says, I'm a big fan of game nights. If you ever host one, like that was just something he just threw in there. That's fully,
I wrote that down. That is one of the funniest lines I have ever heard in a movie, because you think he's going to say, well, I throw game nights all the time. Love to have you come over. But no, I'm a fan of game nights in case you have one. Genius.
I mean, that scene kind of killed me because it was so funny in the initial cut, but the whole, a lot of the, you know, making anything, you just have to kill so many babies. And a lot of it was getting to the reveal faster. And that scene, while very funny, was just, it was one of the easiest places to take trims, but there was so many amazing jokes in there that you know, coming from a comedic background, that's the hardest thing for me to do, to cut jokes and leave money on the table in that regard. But yeah, he was amazing. And then Damon and Casey in that scene as well, the scene where they're, you know, in the kitchen and talking, he's telling people about the night they had. That scene was also twice as long because they had just so many great riffs. You know, some were based on things I'd written, and some things were just like them just going off the cuff because, you know, they have such a shorthand after working together for like 4 years. So that was the stuff that there was more riffing and improvising on, and like those kind of free beat kind of comedy scenes. But by and large, it was all written, but it was just like, you make it yours. I don't care about the exact language. There's certain things we need to hit because of plot points. And I think it's just kind of certain jokes, like they're better if you just say it this way. But mostly it was, you know, this only works if it's collaborative, I think. And it only works if you're as invested as the characters are. So however we do that, please make me look better. I would love that. Please make me look smarter than I am, which is not hard.
And how about Wayans? I mean, I don't think we've ever seen him as deep. I mean, he's very funny in this movie, but we really got to see him work his acting chops.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the thing I kept on trying to just tell people. And he's been very busy. He's been touring already somehow. But I just wanted people to be like, watch. I like the movie. The movie's great. But watch Damon, because you've never seen him do this shit before. And he acts his face off. I mean, he's always like, you know, one of the funniest people, if not the funniest person in any project he's in. And he is that in this, but he's also like brings such subtle depth to the role. And I really, that's a thing I'm kind of proud of. There's a couple of reviews and a couple, you know, people who've said as much on Letterboxd or whatever, saying that like they are really, one thing they really responded to is like seeing a vulnerable male friendship, because that's a thing we rarely get to see. Yeah. And there's a lot of problems with the toxic masculinity and in large, you know, there's shootings every other week. So it's nice to see like, just like people like, I mean, those are my friendships. Like,
sure, same here.
Yeah. And they're like, you know, I am an only child. So most of my male friends, they are brothers to me. So, and I think they really played off well with each other, like being, you know, doing that thing that all best friends do, that you give each other shit and you make fun of each other, but it's also like, there's such love behind it.
Absolutely. Let's talk about your relationship with some of these actors, because you go back behind the scenes, and no word of a lie, I knew you made this movie, and then I looked you up and I'm like, oh my God, Goldbergs, Happy Endings, Community. I've never watched the Michael J. Fox show, but a fan
one
of
did.
Michael J. Fox. I'm a huge fan of his.
Yeah, it's quite good.
Indebted.
Mhm.
Which I had Adam Pally on this show. He's
Oh,
a
yeah.
sweetheart. Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, it was great. I just connected to him on Twitter. It was very odd. Like I try to reach out to people who have that little message icon on Twitter, and none of them ever get back to me. But he did,
Pally did.
and we had a fun conversation. Anyway, no word of a lie. These are some of my favorite shows. You didn't work on New Girl, did you? Do you have anything to do with New Girl?
No, I have a bunch of friends who worked on that, but I never worked
Okay,
there.
because
I
that's
worked on all the
one of
other
my other favorite shows.
Yeah, I worked on all the other shows that had terrible hours, but not New Girl.
But that's, I mean, you must have met Damon on Happy Endings, which I think had too short of a run. It was a fantastic show.
Yeah, it was great. It just suffered from being an inherently young show, and then they never. I mean, in the last season, I think they changed its time slot 3 times in the course of the season, and that's just no way to get traction. And it was also before, like, I think if it had still gone and like made it to getting to like Netflix or Hulu or something where people could find it on the regular, I think it would have done much better. But it was a little bit ahead of its time, honestly. But those all there. I mean, that cast is just amazing. The entire cast is such gifted comedians. So that was fun.
So for fans, it was nice to see Casey and Damon back together again because they were from that show, and Jim Rash, of course, from Community. You worked on Community.
Oscar winner Jim Rash, yeah.
He's amazing. He's an amazing writer and director. Who knew? Him and Nate Fallon, right? Fallon. Yeah. The two of them are writing partners. And it's the way back or the way back? How many ways in that?
Way back. The way back. Ben Affleck. I'm a booze bag basketball coach.
Which was a good movie.
It was not bad. It was the last movie I saw in theaters before the pandemic hit. So it was not a joyful one to go out on.
No. It was so weird, Steve, going to the movie theater. There was nobody there, so I felt safe. But I felt like I was like in some kind of an apocalypse or a zombie apocalypse, and I found a theater to hide out in for a while. It was kind of run down. It was a little grimy. Yep. The picture wasn't as crisp as I remember. But thank you for getting me out of the house and getting me to a theater.
I mean, as I said, it's definitely a weird time to have anything in the theater, but I'm so thrilled that because I had never seen it on a big screen. I did like all the color correcting and the sound mixing on my iPhone mostly because we had to do it all after the quarantine hit. And it was like in the nascent days where we were just like, everyone's like, we are staying home for everything. So, and I had seen it, in screening rooms. My buddies who did all the visual effects for it, they have a office down the street. So I we had a couple screens there to get, notes and that kind of thing, which was very cool. But it's a nice screen, but it's not sitting in an AMC with like the Dolby sound. And it was, as somebody who it was a latchkey kid and spent so much time in movies as growing up, and still I, in normal times see at least a movie a week, if not 2 or 3. So after 13 months, that was the thing that broke the dam for me, was just a dream, just to see it also for the first time. Because I've seen the movie 1,000 times, but to see it in that context and see it with only a small audience, but an audience of 10 people, strangers, and getting to hear their responses was just so fun.
Well, a movie like this too, you would normally see just come right out on a streaming service. So it was nice that it made it to the theaters to begin with.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit weird, but it's I think it's cool. It's very cool that my dad in Pittsburgh, rented out. I think he's seen it 4 times already. He's just the most proud papa ever. So he was thrilled about that.
I heard you speaking in another interview about VHS tapes and growing up watching tons of movies. I think we must be around the same age. I wanted to ask you, do you remember what your first, because you had talked about how you'd go and you'd rent 2 for yourself and 1 for mom and dad. Do you remember what the first VHS movie you saw was and what your parents rented that night? Because I remember mine.
I don't remember my first VHS because it was just so ubiquitous. It was just all the time. So I don't remember the first thing we rented, but I remember the first movie I saw in a theater. I was 2, and my parents took me to see Return of the Jedi, and they were like, he's probably not going to make it through this because he's 2 and it's crazy. So they waited to the very last minute. So to try to avoid meltdown. So they didn't get there early. They got there right as it was starting. So we were, of course, sitting in the very front row and this is not going to go great. And they were just amazed because I sat there like transfixed for like the 2 hours, just like, look at all these puppets and explosions and lasers. So I remember that, but I don't remember first video. I mean, I remember just really leaning in and renting. I think by the time I was 6, because it came out when I was 4, or maybe by the time I was 5, I had seen Back to the Future like 20 times easily.
Yeah.
And 3 times in the theater. Like I kept on making my parents go back to see it. And then I just rented it as soon as it came out, I think like every other weekend.
That is one of my favorite trilogies of all time.
Yeah.
And now it's my son's, who's 13. He keeps asking me if they're going to make another one. I'm like, I'm sorry, they're just not. Buddy. They're not.
It's a bummer, but who knows?
Mine was Superman for me, and then my parents watched Chariots of Fire. And to this day, I still really have only that image of them running down the beach as the whole plot point to that movie in my head.
That's all. That's basically that's what everybody remembers from that movie.
Yeah. And then we had to rewind the movie to send it back, and we didn't shut it off and rewind it because we didn't know how. So we just hit rewind and watched the movie in reverse.
Oh,
and it took about a half hour.
It took about a half an hour and just destroyed the tapes.
Yeah. And then Return of the Jedi was my first date as a 10-year-old. So that I remember seeing that as well. I have a weird memory when it comes to entertainment.
I can't remember almost every theater and who I've seen almost every movie with. It's a weird skill that means nothing, but it's in there.
Steve, I just want to thank you for coming on, spending some time with me. Long weekend as movie. Oh yeah. And a pleasure speaking to you. I love the movie. I think Finn's awesome, who's a Massachusetts native, by the way.
Yeah.
He's from Lenox, Mass. And Zoe was fantastic. All the supporting cast was great. And it was nice that they all connected to you in your professional and personal life, I'm sure. Can I ask you a few questions about the Goldbergs before we go?
For sure, man. Hit me.
Okay. So first I want to ask, because I think I know, and a lot of people always ask, what does a producer do? Because I think you started as a producer, then supervising producer, and now executive producer. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't worked there for the last season, last 2 seasons. I haven't been there for a year and a half because I stopped to work on this, and then I worked on my buddy Dan Levy, who did Indebted, who is the basis of the Doug character. I consulted on his show while I was making this. So I mean, it's a misnomer because, you know, in television is a writer's medium, whereas, you know, film is a director's medium. So it's just very militaristic. You know, you start off as a staff writer when you're a young pup, and just kind of work up the ranks. So as I started off on that show as a producer, it's just like every year you kind of grow in capacity. But all those are just it just means a writer. But you take on so many other hats when you're doing that, because you'll be on set for your episode, you will help with the editing. You're just kind of overseeing everything. I mean, the showrunner is ultimately doing the lion's share of the work, but if they're good at allocating or delegating a workload, you'll do with your episode and other episodes, you can do any number of tasks. You'll be in there for the sound mix, and so that's what it means. I mean, they're just all writers, executive producers, unless they're, you know, on the production side. If they're in the pod, they're all writers.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. I thought it was behind the scenes. You do this, you do that, but you continued to write for them. We lost George Siegel, which is just a devastating loss to entertainment in general, especially the way he went so quickly without knowing what was going to happen. Do you have, and you said you haven't been on the show for about a year and a half, but do you have any idea how they're going to handle that, or how they would handle somebody passing like George?
I don't know, because, you know, I think they were in the midst of shooting the finale when it happened. And I know from talking to friends of mine on the cast, they said it was very somber, but they were really grateful that they all got to be together when they were all together when they found out.
Oh,
so,
wow.
I don't know what they're going to do, because the writing was kind of already in the wall for the finale. So I think that was just some last minute rejiggering. And I have not talked to my friends who, you know, the showrunners there. I think at this point, they're just waiting to see if they'll get another season, and I think they will, because
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's had a great run, but I always refer to the Goldbergs as like the diner of television, in that it's like it's not sexy, it's not winning any awards, but when you get there, like, Jesus, I love meatloaf. This is so cozy, this is so comforting, and that's what that show is. It's just like a warm hug that is really, with great actors and funny premises and a great story engine, and just like the nostalgia, just like it washes over you. So I think it'll continue going on. And I don't know how they'll handle it, but I think they're first and foremost got to get a pickup, and then they'll figure that out.
It's one of the few shows that we watch as a family, the four of us every week, and we look forward to it. The kids love it. I mean, the kids are 10 and 13, and they can't stand when dad opens his mouth and says, oh, well, that part right there. Hold on, pause. This is why they said that. That's from that commercial, and drives them nuts.
I just like the people who shout at each other. They're big and stupid, and they yell. That's fun.
Yeah.
Don't care
Moron.
about that. Yeah.
And you put your friend in Long Weekend for the guy that played the waiter, and I was racking my brain trying to figure out who that was, and he's got that face. I'm like, oh my god, that's from one of the funniest episodes of Goldbergs.
Yeah, he wrote that episode, and he was also in it. But he's old like improv royalty. Like he came up with like Matt Walsh and Amy Poehler, and he used to be in a comedy team with Andy Daly. That's Andy Secunda, and he was a writer on Goldbergs for, I think, the entire time, and then he moved over to Schooled at some point, the spinoff. But yeah, he's great and one of my best friends, and just like the sweetest and funniest dude. So it was nice to like in every role, they were all friends. They're all friends from the past, and the woman who was walking the dog is one of our producers, Deanna Barilari, and even the woman at the end in the bank vault was a friend of mine who I've had been friendly with for years, who just had a line, but it was just nice to like just call a bunch of people to come in and just like help out. So it was great.
It's got to make making a movie that much easier, just to have all your friends with you, huh?
Yeah, it's like just nice to share in. It's nice to know that there's people that you trust around, and then it's just also like just fun. It's just like it's so rare that anything gets made, and when you get the opportunity, it's just like it just feels like otherworldly, because it's like, this doesn't happen. This business is just like a million heartbreaks. Like, right. The amount of times, like I had a friend of mine who called me yesterday because she had a pitch that was going out to different production companies. And one production company was like, love the writing, but this is not for us. And she was so bummed out about it because it's the first thing she's ever done. I was like, dude, even in success, you're going to have 1,000 people say no to you. You gotta, that's what it is.
Yeah.
This is like the 16th movie I've written, and I think about a third of them, a fourth, or close to a half, like I've been paid for in some capacity, but none of them ever got made. This was the first one, and I've had so many pilots in development with a bunch of different people, and it just all is just goes into this purgatory. So like the time when there's anything that's good that gets to be made, it just feels so magical. So it's nice to like just surround yourself with people that you love, because it's a fun experience.
Well, I can't wait to share that with my 24-year-old in California right now, because he's out there trying to do what you do, and he's been working on one script for a long time. I'm like, keep it going, more scripts, more short films.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you just got to get it out there.
That's the best advice I always like. Everybody, I think when you're younger, you like, I wrote the thing. Do I get
now? I'm going to shop it around. Yeah,
that's me, maybe, but there's like 1% of people who their first swing out the bat, like that's the thing that gets them a job or gets them notoriety. The first thing is usually bad, and then you work on the next thing and the next thing, and you keep on learning. So have him finish that and then do more stuff, and then he'll get better and better and better.
Well, hey, Steve, thank you so much. Long Weekend is the movie, and I really do, not to, I'm not, blowing smoke up your ass or kissing ass, but it's an important movie, I think. I think movies like yours are very important. I love the big budget stuff. I do. The last movie I saw in the theater was The Rise of Skywalker, so I'm a big fan of that kind of stuff. Yeah. But I am a huge fan of these indie movies that really make you think. So thank you for putting out this movie. And you said it's streaming soon, right?
Well, it'll be on demand in May, and then
okay.
So in about a month, and then streaming. I don't know what the timeline is for that, but I assume a month or two after that. So
fantastic.
Stay tuned. If you don't feel like going to the theater, just wait, and you can buy it in like early or mid-May, and then you can rent it a week after that, and then eventually, once they feel like they've squeezed all the juice out of the studio, they'll put it up on some streamer, and then please tell all your friends. Give me some solid Rotten Tomatoes. I would love you forever.
And then get some VHS copies made, I think. I think that's
the next thing.
All right. Steve, thank you so much.
Ray, it was such a pleasure, man. Thank you for reaching out.
All right. Take care.
All right. Take care, buddy.
Really love that movie. I try to watch, he said one movie a week. I don't know if that was when he was working a lot, but I probably watch a movie a day, and I'm almost ashamed to say that. I get up so early in the morning. I'm at home by 1 or 2. And the first thing I do is I put the TV on. And if I'm not streaming a TV show, I'm looking for movies on Amazon Prime that no one else has ever seen before. And I really enjoy doing that. So if you get a chance to go to the movies, if you want to get out of the house, not everybody's rushing to the theater. So I think you'll be safe. You'll be spread out enough. Go see Long Weekend. You'll enjoy it. All right, let's keep talking about entertainment. We've got Jere Shea with us. Hey, Jere, how are you?
Hey, Ray, how you doing, man? It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. It's been some time.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. You may notice in your inbox there's an email from me panicking. I was trying to get on the right browser to get in here, but it's all set.
Oh, you got it. Good. Okay. I
Please disregard my email.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Me too.
So I'm almost done with the first season of City on a Hill, and I'm almost afraid to ask if don't okay. All right, I don't want to ask. I don't even want to know.
I wouldn't get in trouble at this point. I could tell you, but I don't want to.
I don't want to know. I already have an idea. Did you go out in a ball like a ball of flames or no? I don't want to know.
How much do you know? I don't want to ruin it for anybody who's tuning. A lot of my friends are just finding out what's happening by the end of the season. I'm getting texts at 1, 2 in the morning from the other coast, saying, "What the hell?"
Okay,
they have no idea what's happening. So
here's your character, by the way, Hank Signa.
Yeah.
And that trench coat is almost like a secondary character in the show.
Yeah, it sure was. That actually, I did get to wear a trench coat for, I guess maybe a third of the episodes there too. But it felt like it was part of Hank Signa's signature look for sure. Yeah.
It was. I mean, you go to this is set in what, the late 80s, early 90s?
92. But of course, Hank is a little older than the guy, so he's probably stuck back in the 80s a little bit. We had fun.
Like Columbo, that's I think of people like Columbo.
You sound like my sister-in-law. She said, "You look like Columbo."
And here's you in an office setting without the trench coat,
right?
But you're working with the likes of Kevin Bacon, who's amazing in this.
He sure is.
And you know who else? Gosh. Yeah. I mean, everybody in the show is amazing. And how did the show come about? I mean, you're not just and featuring. Actually, that's a good thing to say, right? At the end of the credits is and featuring. You don't come up after the credits. You are in the credits.
Yeah, I guess it's there's a whole sort of hierarchy around that. It's business related. It depends on who your agent is and sort of when you're cast, but there are certain people who negotiate, who they ask to be part of the regular cast, and that's typically the people that you'll see before the title pops up. The main title people, and they call it like single card billing. So your name comes up alone, and then they'll have the guest stars and this series, recurring roles, and then guest starring people too. So there's sort of, as you get used to seeing, oh, okay, so this person's probably going to be in a few episodes, but generally the people you see at the beginning, the first half a dozen or so names are going to be people you'll see over and over again, which was happened to be my case in this project, which was kind of nice.
And then you get the names that are kind of offset. And I think I know this. They argued about who was going to go first. And they said, well, I'll go first, but I'll be lower than you. You'll still be higher, but you'll be second. You see that on like movie posters sometimes, right?
It's so visual. You'll see names. The person who's front and center will be a little bit big. If there's like 3 people's faces in a row, there'll be one in the middle that's a little bit forward of the other 2, and and the one on the end is probably lucky to be there, maybe on the poster. But the guy, it's just really, there's a whole thing around that. And I just let my reps handle that.
I just want my name on it.
It's good to be working, man. That's all I can say. And billing does have business ramifications for sure. It's linked to other things, and longevity and frequency of employment. What's that?
It's not all ego.
Yeah, and it's definitely not all ego. There's some importance to it, but it's a good recognition. I mean, you get a guy like Kevin Bacon, Aldous Hodge, Sarah Shahi, Jill Hennessy. I could go on. Mark O'Brien, Jonathan Tucker, Amanda Clayton, who's amazing. They're all just people who, Kevin Chapman. These are guys who have been paying their dues for a long time, and they deserve it. The recognition itself is important to people like that.
You got a Culkin in that too. Is it Rory?
Rory Culkin? Yeah,
he's amazing.
He's phenomenal in this series. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. People are catching
No.
up on season 1 for season 2, but he's just and a really nice guy too. Just so grounded, down to earth. But he's a guy who could just play anything. He's
Yeah.
always really interesting to watch.
It's a fun show. It's based in Boston in 92. So there's a lot of accents. Now you've been trained as an actor. So much like myself in radio, I don't have a New England accent anymore. I'm sure they came to you, and it's probably other people I'm sure that came up in Boston in Massachusetts. But did they look to you as, well, you're from the area, help me with this accent?
Every once in a while, I try not to offer that. People, I just become friends with everybody in the project, virtually. So we can all be very candid, and people say, "Hey, am I doing this right?" Or there may be something. And I worked in politics and on Beacon Hill and the governor's office, and so a lot of the stuff that was in the storyline itself, people would say, what's this job? What does this person do? That sort of thing. But just if someone would ask me for help, but with the accent, I think everybody locked in on it pretty quickly. They came, people hired coaches or they were given a coach. I came with the accent. It's just interesting. My accent comes and goes with my fatigue level.
Yeah. And Kevin Bacon's been in Boston movies before.
He has. He's done a few. Mystic River and several other things. And in fact, we were at his apartment when we were about to start shooting 2 years ago now, which is amazing to me. But we were all just joking around, and I said, "Hey, if you do one more cop role in Boston, I think the state has to give you a pension." So, I don't know if he's looked into that, but I hope it's true.
How's your music?
It's coming along, and I haven't been playing out like a lot of people. I've been doing some little shows for assisted living centers, that sort of thing. I've been taping some things to share with them just privately, just to kind of help boys' spirits. But I haven't been playing out like most of the places I played. Some of them are shut down for a while, taking little hiatuses, and it's tough on the musicians. So I look at it like I don't do it full time. I wish I could do it full time, but if there's a full-time musician out there, I'm going to let them go out get their gigs going again before I start, picking up the phone and offering my services. So.
That's how I felt. I have a lot of friends that relied on gig money for 3, sometimes 4 nights a week, whereas I have a job. I did it for fun. Nice extra money. But I was happy to see that my friends are getting back into it now, because a lot of places are allowing acoustic music. So now I've got my friends that are out there 2 or 3 nights again. And I'm glad to see that it's coming back slowly.
I am too. And with the good weather too, I'll start to play out again. I actually was speaking with someone the other day about probably getting some dates in April. It'll be outdoor venues and things. It's just fun. I just enjoy it. And over the winter, I started picking up little pedals, loopers, and harmonizers and everything else to kind of beef things up, take it to the next level. I'm just having some fun with it.
A lot of people don't know that Kevin Bacon is also a musician, the Bacon brothers. Did you guys get a chance to jam at all while you spent time together?
We always talked about it, but whenever we were together, we were cranking away on something. I saw him every day, but we never really had time to sit and jam. Jill Hennessy is another. She's a singer-songwriter too, and plays Jackie Rohr's wife in it too. I think there was one day I always had a guitar around in my trailer and or in my dressing room, and I every once in a while I'd videotape something and I'd send it to them, you know what I mean, just to say like, okay, we posted up, we almost jammed today, but there was no time to really sit on that show. The pace is really, really fast. But I hope in the future our paths cross and we can do a little jamming. It'd be fun.
Well, I was going to say, I think we could talk to Kelly over at Hopkinton Center for the Arts and maybe put together like a City on the Hill showcase with all of you guys. Right?
I would. Your lips to God's ears. If I could get Jill and Kevin in a room, that would be something.
Well, I mentioned Kelly Grill from the Hopkinton Center for the Arts. She's amazing. The whole team over there is amazing. You're working closely with them. You have been for a long time, but you have a new web series, and it's called The Journey. Yeah. And you have a lot of really interesting people. I was able to catch a few episodes.
Good.
I caught that one right there with Amanda Clayton. Yeah. And she's got a great story. She went to school in Rhode Island, right?
That's right. She did. She sure did, and she's just one of those people who's been at it. I think of her. So many people that I work with. She's a friend. She's been a friend for about 3 years now. We were brought together because we were doing City on a Hill, and her husband Kevin Interdonato was another guest on the show an episode or two before her.
Yeah, he's actually right there.
Yeah, there he is, and they're just such salt of the earth, down to earth people. But their stories are, and I would say everyone to a nose on this season. Their stories are so unique, and everyone's so forthcoming about what it's really like to grind away and get a foothold in this business, and to make it. Once you start getting traction, what do you do then? And the things that can happen to you and for you, and everyone was just so open and honest about what it's really, what the truth of that journey is about. So I encourage people to check it out. Boris MacGyver is the next. It will be here. He is. He is an old friend from NYU. And he is going to be in our season finale. I hope we get more seasons in the future if we can all put together the time to do this next year. But Boris is another person who's been grinding away for years and has had some tremendous successes, ups and downs. And Tade Mwine is another actor who's on a classmate from NYU. Lauren Banks, and a friend David Zabel was the first. He was the premiere, the pilot of the series this year. He's a friend from NYU as well, and he went on to be a tremendously successful writer and producer. He's created several television shows. He was the showrunner on ER for a few years toward the end there. But they all have their angle on it. They all have their story, and you'll find that there's no traditional path to getting into this business.
I was going to say, do you notice a similarity with everybody in their path, or is it just like you said, just very random?
I think the one similarity, it would be hard. I'd be hard pressed to say, to find too many similarities, because really each person's story is so personal to them. Really what inspired them to the business, how they got their first break, how long it took them to get their first break. All that stuff is just so personal to each one of them that it's. The one thing that I would say, or the two things I think are, number one, incredible talent. You've got to be really good at what you do. And the other thing is tenacity, perseverance. And they were unshakable in the faith that they could do this. They could do this for a living, and that sooner or later the dam would break and things would really start to come into place for them.
And they have for Amanda. You were reading off her credit list, and I probably saw half the things she was in, didn't realize it was her. That's how well she blends in, especially with City on a Hill. Her character's amazing. And then she would she do a Lifetime movie, I believe, or
she's in a Lifetime movie. She was on Tyler Perry's series. She's just worked with some of the great Oprah Winfrey. She's just worked with so many incredible producers and actors. She was the wife in the Keanu Reeves' wife in was it Jack Reacher? I'm blanking on the name of the film, but she's had some really great opportunities early on in her career too. And then, like everybody else, things slow down. Things sort of can feel like they're grinding to a halt, and you kind of work your way back up, do independent films, short films, television. And it's just, she's on, I think, starting to rise again. She's one of those people that I consider. There's a handful of people that I know personally that they're actors. Her husband, coincidentally, is another actor's actor, just really consummate actor, and just a real professional who can write, who can produce. But Amanda is incredible on City on a Hill. She was just so true to that role because she's from Rhode Island. She's from the area. She had the accent down perfectly, obviously, and if anybody sees her work on that show, every scene is just no punches pulled at all. Yeah. She's really fun to watch.
I really enjoyed Kevin in Bad Frank, which is
you saw it. Yeah.
If anybody gets a chance to see that, that's such a fantastic movie. And then Boris always has this, like he's smirking a little bit here, very intimidating character actor, usually plays the heavy, but he's an amazing presence on film.
He is on film and off too. He's a real fun guy, and just a real character who's just incredibly bright. And if you watch the episode, you can see my admiration for him. I learned so much having him just in my class. He was just a few years older than me, had been around a little bit longer. Cranking away in the business. as an actor and as a student as well. But just the way he would phrase something in terms of, you know, a concept in class, I just felt so fortunate that he was in class with me. I learned so much more because he was alongside me, you know.
Jerry, I know that you took some time off. You did a lot of acting, a lot of theater. You were in the yards with Mark, with the other Wahlberg.
Southie. I was
Southie. You were in the yards. That was the other one that I was thinking of. No, Southie, right?
Southie. Yep.
Okay. You're an educator, of course. So, and you worked in politics, like you said. So you haven't always been on screen. And then a friend of yours said, "Why don't you come do this Showtime series with us?" Have the stories you've been getting out of these actors, some up and coming, some you know, seasoned actors, has that inspired you to continue with your career?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, and I should say, as these guys know, I'm all in. You know, I had a really great opportunity to do this show. It was something that, I wouldn't say fell into my lap, because, you know, people know that I'm open to it. You know, it's just, it was the right time in my life, and friends knew it was the right time in my life to ask me to do it. Over the years, there have been other opportunities to do projects, and it's just not been. It's like I've either just signed a contract to work in Massachusetts doing something completely different, or just taking another opportunity, or just move somewhere, and it just doesn't work. But this just happened to be the perfect time to do it. That said, once you're in and you're a series regular on a TV show, you don't really have time for anything else. So I had to clear the slate in many ways. So it's one of the things, you can't really do it halfway. You can't be
Right.
You can't be on a television series and expect to be doing other things. I thought I would be able to do that. I to be honest with you, when I first was approached about this, I said, "Oh, maybe I'll keep my day job." And then, you know, because it was presented to me that way, initially, because I was doing something else for work. But it became quickly clear that, you know, very, very clear quickly that once the contracts and everything came around, that I was just not going to be able to mess around. It takes full focus to do that kind of work. And as a result, you know, my agent and my manager were all just committed to keeping the ball rolling.
Yeah. Well, they'll find something else for you. And whatever you do, I know you're going to be successful at it. You're a very talented individual, whether it's music. I'd love to hear more of your music. Love to see you more on the screen. And I'd love to see more of these web shows. The Journey is what it's called. And you can find it on YouTube. I know you can go through
right, you can,
Center for the Arts.
You can. hopartscenter.org is the URL for the Hopkinton Center for the Arts. You can also just go to the Hopkinton Center for the Arts YouTube channel. Or if you just Google or just YouTube my name, Jere Shea, The Journey, that should pop up for you as well. And all these episodes, Boris MacGyver's is the last one, and that's posting up on the 8th of April. And at that point, they'll all be up, and feel free to check them out. Especially if you're a student, or just a student of film and TV, there's so many different angles on what they do. We have Angela Perry, who's a casting director as well. As I said, producers, directors, actors, writers. There's something for everybody on the series, and we hope, you know, if we get funding for next year, we're looking for a sponsor or two, that we'll do more of these and bring in some more great artists, and all my friends know that they're going to be on the hook sooner or later. I'll probably be calling you, Ray. So be ready for it.
Let me ask you this question. I'm 49 years old. Is it too late for me?
No,
it's not. Okay. I just want to hear that from somebody in the business.
It's not. It just is not. I mean, it's Hollywood needs one of everybody. You know, they need people, real people, and people of different ages. You know, hey, look, if it could happen for me at this point in my life, I was 20 years out of the business, essentially completely. There were exceptions, you know, through the years. I would go and do something in New York. Every once in a while, I would do something, and it would fall into place, and I had the time to do it. But no, I mean, to have something happen at this point in my life, like City on a Hill, was phenomenal. And you know, I've worked at it. I've trained. I was ready for it. But if it's something you want to work at, and you want to pursue it as a craft and as a business, I've seen people older than you and me start in on getting their first films. You know, look at some of the great character actors from the 70s and 80s. You'll find a lot of them are retired professionals, retired cops, lawyers. Pretty interesting crew.
Well, I know you teach classes, so I may have to take one of those classes soon.
I would love to have you.
I mean, I've got a resume. I was Horton in Seussical at Milford Performing Arts Center.
Well,
And then I had more of a comedic role with my man on the couch, which is the man in the chair, and Drazi's chaperone. So,
well, you sure buried the lead here. Why don't you just start the conversation with those two roles? You're too modest.
I'm fishing for a role, so you gotta hook me up. Jere, thank you so much. It was great to see you.
Ray, I just wanted to say real quickly, the HCA has a Milford Day, so I know you're a Milford guy.
Yes.
So at the HCA, June 25th, if there's Willie J. Laws is going to be performing a concert there. Milford residents get a free gift. We want to see you, Milford people in Hopkinton, at the Center for the Arts. It's Friday, June 25th, and we have our summer series going up all summer, right through September, starting in mid-June as well. So come on by.
Thank you for being a part of that. And thank you, Kelly, for all the hard work she does. And I should tell everybody that we're working with the Hopkins Center for the Arts with this radio station. So we will have 4 or 6 tickets to give away for every performance this year. That's
great.
So be listening to the radio station for a chance to win.
Great.
And if you don't win, buy the tickets.
Yeah. As always, Ray, thanks so much for your support. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Jere, take care.
Thanks, my friend.
Bye-bye. Jere Shea, what a stand-up guy. Love that guy. All right, this is why we call it the happy hour-ish. It's now 7:55, so we're running a little late. And let's go to my next guest. It's Brian Goodman. Look at you. From Rushford and Sons. We're so excited that we have a brew house in Upton. This is not full, so if you just give me 1 second, I have it chilling, so I have to grab it out of my beer fridge. I got a beer fridge.
Oh, awesome.
Christmas.
Ray, while you're getting your beer, I'm just going to tell everybody who's watching. So the story is, Ray pops. So I wasn't even expecting Ray to pop by today. Ray pops by, says, "Hey, Brian, really excited you're coming on the show tonight. So I need some beer. I'm looking for something light. What do you got?" So I'm like, "Well, hey, I got our Bee's Knees, which is our honey blonde, nice, light, crisp, refreshing. I got Grizzly Bear, our light brown, nice, crisp, light, crisp, refreshing. Hey, Brian, let me get the heaviest beer you have in stock, even though I asked for something light." So there you go, Ray. Enjoy, man. It's a great beer. Let me know what you think.
Well, I can't wait. I haven't had a beer in 2 months. I'm doing the keto thing, and then as I'm talking to you and you're describing all the flavors, I'm like, okay, I gotta have the IPA. This is great. Oh, and then after that, you didn't tell everybody that as I was leaving the driveway or the parking lot, I ran over your sandwich sign.
You know, it's funny. You started something because 3 people after you left today ran over the sign. And it's just like, hey, don't worry, you're not the first one to do it. Not a big deal.
I felt so stupid because here I am walking out, I'm getting my beer from the brewery, and I'm like, I'm playing the part of, hey, I'll see you later, man, and great to see you, man. Hey, cheers and beer and all that. And then I drive out. Oh, shit, what did I do?
Hey,
everything was fine.
It's a good story, and like I said, you're the first of 4 people to do it today. So it's amazing that sign is in as good a shape as it's in.
I'm glad I started a trend. That's perfect.
I'm not, but I mean, those worse things. Better the sign than the building, I'll tell you that.
So what was the building before you guys went in there? It's 3 garage doors. 1 garage door is a makeshift bar right now. What was that building before?
Okay, so the way I understand it, I bought the building from the Thompson family, which are hundreds of years in Upton. Upton was, incorporated 1735, something like that. Somebody in the comments can correct me there. 1735. I know the Thompson family originally built the 2-family house on the property back in like the mid 1800s, and then they had Thompson Oil in this building where the brewery is. I think since the 60s, and then that closed down maybe 10 years ago, and they were using this garage to store their boat. So I mean, don't blame them. Great boat garage. But I bought the property. Last May. Was supposed to do it last March. Yada, yada, yada. 2020 happened. Closed in May. And we are slowly turning it from an old oil company to a brewery. So, yeah, I know, Ray, you saw it today. We got the temporary bar here. Hopefully by, September, October-ish, we're going to have the whole outside done, the inside done, and it's going to be a completely different building.
But the important thing is you're serving beer. So no matter what the place looks like, you have your beer for sale. And that's all that really matters.
To make it look pretty no matter what shape it's in. So.
That's right. Now, the story. Tell me about the story, because on paper, it looks like a sitcom. It looks like a great plot line for a sitcom. 3 friends from, 2 brothers and you from childhood open up a brewery, and the hilarity ensues.
I mean, hilarity, I guess that's eye of the beholder. You know what I mean? But so I have two partners, Mike, who's the head brewer, and Eric, who's our other childhood best friend. The three of us. So actually, ironically, I never was really one of the home brewers. For the last 16 years, it was Mike and Eric that would home brew. For the last 5 years, I told Mike, hey, listen, the beer's getting really good, man. You let me know when you're ready to go pro. Let me know when you're ready to go pro. I think it was 2.5, 3 years ago. He's like, yeah, Brian, I think I'm ready. So we started working on our business plan, tried to plan everything out perfectly, do our financial models, our business models, yada, yada, yada. We were actually supposed to sign on the dotted line for a lease on another building in Upton in February. Thankfully, that didn't go through because that could have been a disaster. And March 2020 happened, and all of 2020 happened, and thankfully, like again, as much as I would prefer, COVID not to have been a thing, it's actually kind of a silver lining because it really helped us really examine our business plan, really examine what we're going to do, and kind of slowly roll up and ramp up to the brewery. And then, again, by fall 2021, it's going to be kind of pretty gosh darn close to its final form. And, I can't wait. I'm kind of rambling at this point, but
no, this is great. I'm glad you're excited because we're all excited. You must have made the rounds and checked out what everybody else was doing. I mean, being fans of beer, I'm sure you've already been to these places, Craft Roots and 67. Yep. So many great breweries in the area. I don't know, what's the closest one to you? Because you are set in a very unique area where there's not a ton for this kind of option around you.
Yeah. So here in Upton, it's great because I think, there's nothing within like 12, 15 minutes. I mean, I know we got Start Line in Hopkinton. Those guys are awesome. I mean, Craft Roots always mentioned. Those ladies do a great job. We got Cold Harbor up in Westboro. That Juice Freak is just such a good IPA. And but the nice thing is what we're really situated for is a town where Upton, I mean, there's some really great restaurants here. I mean, you got Red Rock, you got Rose Garden, you got 118. And, Joanne, thank you. Appreciate that. I mean, you got some great restaurants in town, but there's really not like a really good kind of more modern, centrally located hangouts. So having the brewery here in the Upton downtown business district, I think we're really in a great position, in a great community to really have a great spot for people to hang out, have some great beer that's trying to do something a little bit different than the closest other breweries are trying to do. And if nothing else, we're going to have a kick-ass bar. Part of my language. I don't know, Ray. Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's good.
The language, but have a really great place to kind of hang out and good vibes, good times, and great beer.
That's awesome. You are on it's Grove Street, right?
Yeah, Grove Street. Kind of. I mean, we can see Town Hall from here, and
you're right behind Nevermind Shop. Right behind the Nevermind Shop.
Yeah, right behind the Nevermind Shop. Yeah.
Yeah. And lots of space, so I can envision your outdoor seating area. Will that be the whole parking lot, or because you need parking, obviously? So what are your plans for the outside? Let's see if it's the same in my head.
Yeah, no, Ray. The nice thing is we don't need a lot of parking. We're going to have 6 spots kind of right up front, and those are going to be striped out. This is all going to happen in the next 2 weeks. That parking lot, you came today. That parking lot's going to look wildly different 2 weeks from now. Where you have a nice kind of concrete barrier. Now, originally we were going to do Jersey barriers, but thankfully Lisa, my sister-in-law, and my manager, she found this great product it looks like a concrete wall. It's textured. It's all recycled concrete. Love the fact that it's recycled material. We're going to essentially do a wheel stop barrier between the parking lot and the seating area. Little over 2/3 of our existing parking lot is going to be seating. So we're going to have 9 tables with 4 to 6 seats per table. We're going to have food trucks every weekend because right now with the COVID restrictions, we can't serve anybody who hasn't purchased food prepared on the premises, and anybody who's gone to a brewery to sit down and have a draft in the last 6-9 months probably is familiar with this. You need to buy food prepared on the premises in order to sit down and have a beer. I mean, a lot of discussion that could happen on that, but it is what it is. So we're going to have food trucks here. We're going to be starting April 17th. We're going to be open for outdoor seating and food trucks Saturdays and Sundays. So the Saturday, the April 17th, we're going to be open noon to 8. Normally, we're going to be open 11 to 8. But Saturday the 17th, I have my investors come in 11 to noon, so we can mess up all of our new systems on them, and then hopefully have an hour to work out some of the bugs. So when the public comes, we can be as efficient as possible. Help everybody have a good time.
I love the fact that the food truck culture has now merged with the craft drink and craft beer culture as well. And maybe that's one good thing that came out of this pandemic is that need for food on the property, because it's just as, I think it's just as creative. A food truck that's serving something local and fresh is a great complement to drinking local beer and fresh beer.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, I mean, it's the same kind of thing. It's there's not a lot, there's no Starbucks food trucks. You know what I mean? The food trucks that we're having in are all locally owned. You're probably going to have the owner or somebody related to the owner working on the truck when you come here, when the trucks are here serving. So it's people who, much like us, who are really, I mean, if we wanted to be rich, we'd be investment bankers, but we wanted to have fun. So we're opening up a brewery during a once in a 100-year pandemic. So again, we're doing it because we have a passion for it. And anybody who's working on a food truck also is a local business owner who has a passion for what they're doing. And also, I mean, great food and great beer, thousands of years has been a thing. So, we're going to have, great, our opening weekend, we have Kith and Kin. They're out of Hudson, and they're awesome. Just great new American food. I know they do a lot with duck and duck fat. They got duck fat fries on their menu, which if you guys, anybody out there, if you haven't had duck fat fries, you're going to say, oh, Brian, that can't be that much better. Like, no, it's that much better. They're awesome. And then Sunday the 18th, I got Say Cheese out of Worcester.
Love Say Cheese.
They're so good. And I tell you, a couple weeks ago, I had like a half-an-hour conversation with Terry, the lady that owns the place. She is awesome. Like, I just want to be best friends with her, but I can't wait to eat the food. I actually haven't eaten their food yet. My wife's eaten there a couple times at their food truck, and she's really pumped for them.
It's funny. I met her once, and then I friended her on Facebook, and I think I felt like I could talk to her more often. She's very approachable, don't get me wrong, but after a while, it was like, I think I'm bugging her because I just thought I want to be friends with you, Terry.
Yeah, and she's got that personality. We're like, wow, you're just like an awesome person, and the helps if the food's really good and like the cheese is awesome. Yeah. I see Don. I see you say Cousin's Lobster Truck. I haven't approached them yet. A lot of people have told me to. I know. So Town Line Dairy farm on the other side of Upton. The guy who owns that place, Johnny Lindquist, awesome guy. He actually picks up our spent grain. So when we make beer at the end of a brew day, we've got hundreds of pounds of grain, wet grain. That what are we going to do with? We just would chuck it in the trash. So the prevailing wisdom for breweries is you find a farmer who can take the grain and feed it to their livestock. So the guy who runs Upton Town Line Dairy, he picks it up. Yeah, he picks it up and feeds it to his livestock. And I know he has in his store, he's got Cousin's Lobster Truck who comes down relatively frequently. So I am going to reach out to them at some point, but I know they're already in Upton and they already have a venue. So I really want to, as much as they're great, and I've had Cousins before, I really want to bring new food trucks who haven't been in Upton yet, who are going to give you something different than is been around or is around.
I went to Town Line for the first time about 5-6 months ago. I was blown away by what they offer. It's amazing. So the whole point is just support local businesses like yourself, local businesses like Town Line. They advertise with My FM, the station I work at, and just fantastic people over there. All right. So tell me what is going to be a little different. You had mentioned, and I think, every brewery opens and they're going to be a little different than everybody else because you want to offer something new and fresh. So what is it about Rushford and Sons that's going to be a little different from the other guy down the street or 13, 14 miles away?
Yeah, awesome. So right now, as everybody knows, and it's true here too, everybody loves IPAs. What you're drinking, what I'm drinking right
Fantastic.
now. Yeah. Oh, awesome.
Great.
Glad to hear it. Again, so not to get too sidetracked, Ray. Again, what you're drinking is Shippo the Line, which is our new British IPA. Yep. So unlike a lot of New England IPAs, which are very juicy and thick, or West Coast IPAs, which are very piney, the British IPA, it has traditional British and English hops, specifically Kent Goldings and Fuggles hops, which are going to be a little bit more earthy and have to be a little bit more rounded. So it's, and again, you could, Ray, you're actively drinking that one, you can tell me. It's very smooth. It's still very hop forward, but a little bit earthier than something like, well, this is the Gibba. This is our New England IPA, which it's interesting. So I was drinking. I have another friend of mine who dropped off some Treehouse double IPAs today, which are Treehouse, of course, makes some of, if not the best juicy New England IPAs in the world. And drinking that next to the Gippa, which is our juicy New England IPA, it's a really interesting story. Nobody wants to spend the next 2 hours hearing me talk, compare and contrast them, and talks about what makes the Treehouse great, what makes ours great, and why they're different. But like I'm starting to fall asleep just thinking about it. But most importantly, IPAs are super popular. We have 2 IPAs on the menu. They're great. We love them. But there's other types of beer besides IPAs. And a lot of people say, hell, I really want to be into craft beer, but I'm not into IPAs. And a lot of places really focus on those IPAs because they're delicious, because they're very popular. But there's other kinds of beer that are very popular. And really our standouts, we do a lot of traditionally UK style beers, English pub beers, our Irish Stout. The Honey Blonde is still technically an American style, but it also, definitely has, that kind of easy drinking pub beer kind of roots. And that's really what we focus on, is not necessarily, the heavy 8%, sit down and think about it like it's a cigar kind of beer. Our beers are really, have 2 or 3, have fun with your friends, and really, conversation starters and conversation lubricants, so to speak. Very, again, more traditional English and European pub style beers rather than the new American heavy IPAs, which again, we're going to be doing that. You're always going to be able to get some interesting IPAs here, but it's not our sole focus. We want to do some really drinkable stuff and also some weird stuff. So we got our next small batch beer, which we're going to do 2 barrels of it a year, and that's it. We have our Lumberjack that's going to be coming out. That's going to be a spruce ale flavored by spruce tips, which is, again, very early American style ale, when they really didn't have hops here, but, got to pasteurize that water and drink it somehow. So instead of hops, they use spruce. We're still going to be hopping it, but it's going to be kind of weird and out there. And then we're going to be doing later in the spring, early summer, we're going to be doing a Kolsch, which Kolsch style, pardon me. It's only a Kolsch if it's brewed in Cologne, Germany, but Kolsch style, which is going to be a lighter, more summery beer, which I can't wait for because it's one of my favorite styles. But yeah, we want to do a lot of different kind of more malt forward European styles rather than the super heavy hop forward American styles.
That's great. I mean, you got to offer an option to people, and that's going to be your thing. This British Indian this IPA from, see, I've already had too much of it already. You warned me too. You did. Anyway, so drinking this, I feel like I am in an English pub. If I close my eyes, I'm sitting at a bar. Now, I have never been in an English pub, but I've seen enough Edgar Wright movies to be able to picture it. This is amazing. It's really good, but it's very refined. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm not drinking the juicy IPA we're so used to, which is okay. I feel like I've upped my game a little bit with this one.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, and those juicy IPAs are great. This, again, I'm drinking the Gippa, which is our juicy IPA. I had whatever, I don't know. I had a buddy of mine bring me a bunch of Treehouse double IPAs today. So I had one of those. Again, delicious, very juicy IPA, very different beer than the traditional British IPA.
I love it. Awesome. All right. So two weeks from now, you will be open for outside entertainment. Oh, speaking of entertainment, will you have entertainment eventually? What do you think?
You know what? Yes, eventually. I'm pretty sure it's different permitting. So thankfully, the town of Upton has been awesome to work with. We've had to jump through all the hoops. We've had to, pay all the fees and fill out all the license forms, but they have been really great in terms of expediting those forms, getting things approved, getting those public hearings scheduled, and making sure we can kind of open on time and serve people. And the town of Upton really gets it, but I still haven't filled out the permits for live performances. Eventually, I would love to have some kid with an acoustic guitar playing the hits every weekend because, it goes with beer garden, just like, barbecue or grilled cheese, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's perfect fit here. It's just, got to work it in when we can. Yeah. We've had to, believe me, like I said, getting this business going over the course of the last year, man, it's been a blast. I've lost sleep. I've cried a lot. I've laughed a lot. Wouldn't recommend, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
There you go. Oh, how many musicians have contacted you so far? Right? You're laughing. Yeah.
A
See,
lot.
I do a lot of music promotion in town. And when you do want to do something, please let me know, because I know all the acoustic acts that are worth having at
Ray,
a brewery.
You're my first call, man.
But I know that every one of them also called you already and said, when are you doing live music?
Yeah. And my response to every single one of them is like, that is an awesome question. Stay in touch.
Well, you let me know. Hey, Brian, thank you so much. It was great to meet you today. And I'm glad I didn't.
Guys, man, thank you so much for stopping by.
Well, and we'll be back again real soon. 2 weeks from now is the opening. What date is that? Do you know the date on that?
Yep, April 7th. Oh, believe me. April 17th, noon to 8. We'll be here all day.
All right, awesome. Brian, take care, and I'll see you real soon.
Ray, real pleasure. Thanks for the invite. Hope to see you again soon.
Cheers.
Enjoy. Cheers.
Bye-bye. What a guy. What a brewery. I mean, this beer is awesome, and it's so nice to have a brew house in Upton. So very excited about that. And somebody that I know is also going to be equally or doubly excited about that is Jay.
I'm doubly excited.
What's up, buddy? How are
you? I'm trying some Creatures of Magic tonight.
I feel like that's a Kiss thing, but it's not.
No, that's Creatures of the Night.
Yeah, but that would be their beer, like a play on.
Yeah, sure.
On that. Yeah, like instead of Animalize, it would be like Brewalize.
Totally.
No, I'd have to work on that. That's not right either.
I completely accepted it, Ray. You were fine. Look, you got Cthulhu, you got a unicorn, you got a duck, you got Sasquatch, you got all these mythical creatures of magic.
Wait. Where does a duck fit in with mythical creatures?
I don't know. Oh, it's like a bat duck.
Oh, well, you didn't say bat duck.
And then there's something else up here. But so first time try, pretty decent. I like it.
Hey, we just talked to that guy, or I just talked to that guy.
Camp Crystal Lake. I'm actually
how excited are you to hang out over at Rushford and Sons?
I had no idea that was opening. That's awesome, because then we can go, we can shop for some records at the Nevermind shop and say hi to Mick, and then we'll just literally go around the corner and go get some beer.
Yeah, and then crash over at the Minusian's house.
Yes.
Right?
See, we got the whole weekend planned for us.
It's fantastic. I was there today, and have you seen it? Have you been on their Facebook page yet?
Nope, not yet.
Well, this is bare bones here. Hold on, let me find it. There it is. So those are the guys, and we didn't even talk about their childhood story, but they're all childhood friends, two brothers, and Brian right there. Now to the left, that door is open, and that's where the bar is, and it's right up against the side of the building. So you just walk up and you get your 4-packs, and then eventually, when they open in 2 weeks, you'll be able to walk up there, but you'll be able to mill around that parking lot because that's where all the tables will be. Oops. And that's the. There we go.
No, that's awesome. I can't wait. You know me. Give me a reason to go to any new craft beer place. It sounds like a fantastic day and night and weekend.
Yeah. How are you? Let's talk about Jay.
Let's talk about Jay. How's Jay?
Yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. My knees, I'm so old, Ray, that my knees they break. I stand on them and they just snap.
They're brittle.
They're so brittle. Me and Don's son Jake, we were replacing a bunch of boards on the deck today.
Hold on 1 sec. I think Tim would like to hear this story as well.
Tim, would you like to hear the story?
Yes.
Jay's telling the story.
No, we're replacing a bunch of boards on
Hold on. Boards.
Okay.
I'm writing it down.
Yep.
Boards.
And this is as exciting as it gets.
No, I know. I started Dear Diary, so don't worry about it.
but Jake got this awesome crowbar, or it's like a cry bar or whatever it is, and pry bar. And the thing is just badass. I can just take boards up like within a matter of seconds. He's doing all the real technical stuff.
You're excited about a crowbar.
Yeah,
that's age right there.
But it was awesome. We were having a blast. The deck looks fantastic. Then I had to go off to work, and then Don and him actually they sanded it for like another couple hours. I didn't even know they were going to sand the whole thing today. But that's what happened today here.
It was cold out there today too.
Way too cold. We started at like before 10 o'clock. It's like 20 degrees out. I'm like, what's going on, man?
This ain't right. I had somebody over at the MyFM parking lot selling ice cream on a day like today. Mrs. Morcani is awesome, by the way, and her ice cream is unbelievable. I want to give her a nice plug here. She's out of Worcester, but once a month, on the first Friday of every month, she's going to be with us in the parking lot. You can pre-order, you can come down and buy them, but her ice cream is so creamy and so rich. If you're a fan.
I love ice
No,
cream.
that's awesome. It was just I couldn't even think about eating ice cream today.
Well, luckily you don't have to eat it outside. You buy it, bring it home, and into your. People are saying that, like, why would I buy ice cream today? Well, are you outside? Are you eating
ice
outside?
cream every day of the year? I'll have ice cream.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, luckily you don't have to eat it outside. You buy it.
Wow.
It's your bit of an echo there.
First time caller, please turn down your radio.
Turn down your radio. Hey, Justin.
What's going on?
Nothing. We've got a new beer. We got a new brewery in town.
I didn't know Jimmy Fallon opened a brewery.
Who?
Jimmy Fallon.
Oh yeah, he was very Jimmy Fallon-ish. What a
first look. It's just like Jimmy Fallon.
What a great guy. I haven't met the other two guys yet, but if they're as enthusiastic as he is, this is going to be quite the place to hang out at.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
So how are you?
I can't wait.
Basically, we need breweries surrounding us so that we can once again start doing these. You were saying before they got these bus tours. So if you get one in every town, I will take that bus every day. And well, maybe not every day.
That's the Cape Cod Brew Bus right there.
Brew Bus.
Yeah, I would love to start that business. I think we need one or two more breweries, and we're very close to getting that business going. And I think it'll be beneficial to all of us and our friends and the general public.
Definitely. Oh, look at that dog!
Hi, Barbie.
Hi,
Hello.
How are you?
What the
I'm
hell?
falling over. Sorry.
It's too much exercise.
There's the dog to get the likes. We need the views. We need the likes. There's the dog.
That's right. Let's check out the comments now. No. Ice cream Easter eggs.
that landed well.
I still love to this day. It's like people do not look at the calendar before they start going crazy. It's like I saw so many things yesterday, and it was great. I love April Fool's Day, but the people that get so upset over things.
Well, she messaged me and she said, is that a joke or is that happening this weekend? I said, it's your place.
Well, you own the place.
That's right. It's not happening there. It's a joke. And then I did another one for the roof place that I do social media for. And Molly today thought that we could actually have a glitter roof. She thought that was a good idea. She said, I'm not sure if that's real or not, but could we get a glitter roof? So I don't know.
I saw in the news there was a police station that they were training cats.
Yeah, I saw that. People got pissed.
That's awesome. Hey, Bill.
What's up, Bill?
Hi, backstage, Billy. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Billy.
What'd you do for your birthday, Bill, which was yesterday?
Tequila. What did we do? I had a nice dinner. Went out to the Rome restaurant.
You said you did nothing.
Yeah. Laid low. It was good.
Yeah.
Good. I
You're
turned
drinking
47.
Nice. You're drinking tequila right now?
Yeah, I'm gonna sample a little of this. This was one of my birthday presents.
Sample.
Yes.
Casamigo.
Very good.
I'm curious. We'll wait.
That's good. It's like a small batch style reposado, which means that it's aged in barrels after they make it. And
we learned that on Ray's show.
Casamigo.
Now, are you handing that off to one of your kids, or is that D?
D is she's my offstage producer.
Very nice. Hi, D.
Hi.
She said, no matter what, I'm not on camera.
Oh,
Sounds like a challenge.
So here we go. Cheers, everybody.
cheers.
Happy Friday.
Jeff, what are you drinking?
This is a Treehouse Perfect Storm.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I hear the disdain in your voice, Jay.
I haven't had Treehouse in like 2 months, man. I'm just. It's all beer after that, man. After Treehouse, it's just beer.
That's true. I want to try that honey wheat though that Rushford has.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna try every single beer they have.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things because I think at Start Line we've kind of gone through them all. And it's like they're good. I like those, but it's like I want to try some like when you started talking about making a Kolsch for the summer. It's like, yeah, I'll go for that.
Yep.
Oh my God, is that happening? Are we taking Jacob on a brew tour?
Oh man.
He's not a drinker though. That's the thing. But
Not yet.
no,
Well,
right.
he's not practicing.
He wasn't legal yet. What are you gonna do?
Neither was Anna really until we get a hold of her.
I don't believe that.
She was sneaking wine coolers for a long time.
I'm sure she's, yeah.
Well versed.
It's Dan. Dan has no clue.
That'll be fun.
No, it's not necessary.
So at a very
It's
young
never
age,
Mind your business.
necessary.
I'm on a show with my friends.
at a very young age, I don't know how many people did the same, but much younger, when I used to raid the liquor cabinet, and I was so unpicky though that I would take a 2-liter bottle and I would pour from each of the different bottles into the same 2-liter. Then on that Friday night, we would just fill the rest of that 2-liter with Coke or Pepsi or whatever, and then that would just go around with everyone there. Unfortunately, sometimes you didn't know that Sambuca was making it into that mix, and that just ruined the entire time.
I was always very particular about what I took. It was either the like Jack Daniels or like one of those other ones. It's like no, it's vodka and orange juice. It's Jack and Coke. Like there was no mixing of all the different things.
We were just making a murder stew. That's all we were doing.
I'm the kid that would call your parents the next day because you guys were doing things that were wrong.
I was always so disappointed in my father because all the liquor we had was like made in Dorchester. Like it wasn't very high end. So
nothing exotic.
No. So my introduction to liquor was bottom shelf vodka, gin, and I just discovered at 49 years old how good gin can be if it's the right gin.
Doesn't taste like pine needles.
Yeah. It smells like the forest and it's glorious. And I just didn't have that growing up when I was stealing liquor. How dare my dad would just look at, he set me up for failure for the rest of my life as far as drinking goes.
My father worked for Anheuser-Busch. All I thought was alcohol. I only thought Budweiser was it. Literally, I thought Busch was supposed to be like Premier because that had the mountain on it. And then we got I got one of the first 10 cans ever made of Bud Light.
Wow.
Yeah, and so this is gourmet in our house. This is like, it's Bud Light. Like so,
that can might be worth as much as that coin that you have.
Yeah, probably. Thanks for bringing that up.
We don't know yet, Tim. We just don't know.
I think we all truly know.
Yeah. You know, it's back to the liquor situation. The stupidest thing that I ever did, though, my parents only drank like one type of liquor, but they had a whole liquor selection. The problem was I kept taking from everything, so it just kept getting lower and lower and lower. And eventually my dad's just like, we don't drink Southern Comfort. There's no Southern Comfort left, Jay.
Barbara's sister used to fill everything with water.
Yeah. Well, you could only fill certain things with water. You could
but she filled the whole vodka bottle with water, and they had an adult like party, and they're pouring, and then she got the water.
Everyone got pissed because they weren't getting drunk.
Yep.
So here's a good question. When it came time to actually get a buyer, how did each one of you procure the alcohol, and You don't have to mention the name, but how did you get it when you were actually getting buyers? Like, when you got like a case of Bud. Ray, start.
Okay. It was a friend of a friend. I mean, it was a brother of a friend. So we'd have to wait for him to show up in his pickup truck. And then there was always a whole razzing of us because we were so much younger. And then somebody got beat up or punched. Usually the brother got punched. And then we all felt a little awkward about it. He was an asshole. Usually brought his girlfriend with us and flaunted her in front of us. Look what I have. And you little idiots are drinking tonight. Together. It was a whole he made us feel so bad that we had to drink after that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even fun. It was just like, my life sucks. Let's just get drunk.
What age were you when this was starting?
I was probably about 15, 16.
Jay?
Yeah, the funniest thing is, well, basically we'd nab it, but when we finally had someone, we had two people. One was my brother Steve. I'm gonna say his name right off the bat. I mean, that's easy. He used to buy for us. But the other, in my grade, when we were seniors, my buddy Johnny had a full beard and he looked very old. So there'd be one of these corner stores that we would go and he'd get us cases every single weekend. And he did this for months. They never batted an eye. They were just like, yeah, hey, John, what's going on, man? Until one day when he walks in with his football jersey on from the high school that he goes to. And they look at him and they're like, he just looks down and he goes, oh, yeah, I used to play football. He's like, we're going to need to see an ID. He's like, and that was it, man.
All right, I got to skip over Tim because he used to.
I have an answer.
Yeah. Oh, you actually drank back then. I'm sorry. I thought you were just going to be the rat for everybody. But.
No, cousin Matt. He got me in a lot of problems.
How old were you?
14, 15?
Yeah, that's a good time to do it.
I'm waiting for your answers. You're going to be sick.
Justin, you ready?
Yeah, so I worked at a local convenience store as a stock boy, deli boy. So the older guys that worked at the deli, like it was one of those kinds of things. It would be like you kind of like befriend them a little bit. But there's one night I remembered vividly. He was the guy that worked at the deli was also the neighbor of my bass player in the band I was in. So we got a 30-pack of Miller Lite Ice, and that was our it was our idea. It's like, all right, we're gonna get together, we're gonna get drunk, and we're gonna record this. It's gonna be great. It's like, yep. And I was so excited because I had set this all up for like these two older guys that I was in a band with. They were a year older than me. But Dave, the guy that bought us all the beer, he became like the weekly buyer for everybody like around that thing. So yeah, but it's like, 2 Miller Lite Ices when you haven't like really drunk at all, puts you kind of under very quickly. So there wasn't much recording happening. It was more just me barfing in the corner.
Yeah, so for me, it was, I was the youngest of 5. My other buddy Dave was the youngest of 10, actually. So we were flush with buyers. But if we were actually arguing, like, all right, well, Bill, you ask your sisters, because if we ask Dave's brother Dino, we'll buy a case, but he'll show up with 18 and he'll beat the shit out of us. And that was probably when it started regularly. I would say it was like from 8th grade to 9th grade. That's when we really started it. And we like picked our spot. It was up behind the high school in the woods. D went there. And we would just get dropped off either at the Franklin rink or somewhere around there and just make the big hustle into the woods, run in with a case. And like I said, if it was Dave's brother first, we'd be short 6 beers and he would give us all Charlie horses so we couldn't run anywhere.
Is that why they put the police station there?
What's that?
Is that why they put the police station there?
Probably. Side note, we drank on the hill in the woods where the police station sits right now, because that used to be woods as well. And if we had to slum it, we would ask somebody at Liquor World, and then someone would. Back then, people just said yes. They didn't care. It's the 80s. Right. Yeah, buddy, here you go. And we'd give them $10. Like, nah, we'll give you $10 back. No, I don't need the money. I just want to help out a young guy.
I went to a sophomore dance in Uxbridge. We had a trunk loaded with alcohol, and we we were dropped off. So we had to be like 15, 16. We must have hiked 3/4 of a mile to get to this rock where we're going to drink. It's midnight. We walk all the way out there. The second we sit down, all the flashlights come on. And the cops go, "We followed you from your car all the way in." And then just flip the flashlights. And they said, "Now you're going to carry all that beer out and put it in our trunk."
Yes.
Yeah. And they used to take it.
That's what they used to do back then. They didn't bust you. They, as long as you weren't clearly drunk, they would just take your booze.
Oh, they took it home. Yeah. But we didn't. They just let us go. They're like, "Well, you never drank anything. So you're just going to load it into my car. And you're lucky this time, son." Like, okay.
When I was in,
dump it out.
I was in 8th grade, and for some reason, it was like over the course of a few weeks, we had just started drinking. It was great, and we'd steal the shit from our parents, and we went to the pizza place, and the pizza guy noticed that all these junior high kids were drunk, and they called the principal of the junior high. So the next day, it's a very small town. The next day, I go to school and my parents are there, and the principal brings me in. It's like, we heard you were drinking. Everybody was drinking and you were drunk. And I remember this so vividly. The first thing I said to my parents, they said, "Do you have anything to say about this?" And I'm like, "I have a drinking problem." I didn't have a drinking problem, but it's the first thing that came to my mind. Now that I think back, it's like, oh my God. My parents must have been just it was an after school special moment.
I can see that going through your brain.
Always with the drama. You got the scene and go.
Yeah, that first time you get caught too, that's always a good one. The first time I got caught was probably that same summer. We were just, a friend's parents were away. We were across the street at a girl's house. Everybody was just having a good time. Me and a buddy, we were supposed to sleep over at my house. We rode our bikes home, and my parents were in the kitchen, and we were clearly wasted. And it was probably like the first bag of weed we ever bought too. And, I ended up going to the bathroom and looking in the mirror and just saying, like, "No wonder I got caught. Look at me." I got, my eyes are tiny, super red. I got huge bags under my eyes. My buddy Dave can't stop laughing the whole time. My parents are screaming at me. He's cracking up in the corner. And it just seemed like a little bit more of an innocent time, even though bad things happen to some people, which I guess it's always going to happen. Like you said, sometimes the cops just took your beer. Now it's like, oh my God, you're a felon. You have to go to classes.
The cops will still take your beer. The cops come to your parents' house and take their beer too now.
Yeah, exactly. It's just,
forever.
My brother actually, I was hanging out with my other brother the other week, and he reminded me, he's like, "Jake, I don't even remember how many times the cops dropped you off." And they just be like, "All right, have a good night, Jay." And I'm like, "All right, later, guys."
That was Jay's ride home when he would get
It was.
He would call the cops on himself.
No, but we'd be at parties, and I'd be like, I'd look around, and there'd be no one there that could give me a ride, and I had to go home, and the cops would be there, and they'd be like, "Oh, who needs a ride home?" I'm like, "You know what? I could use one, actually." I'm not that far. It was always the Mr. Pillarella. Mr. Pillarella, what's your dad gonna say about this? And I'm like, he's not gonna say anything good about this whatsoever. You better just keep it under your hat, man.
That's an excellent response.
I don't remember ever getting caught, busted. The only thing I remember is we had a party in the woods once where we actually had a keg, and it was somebody that I was friends with had secured said keg. And so we're all in the woods drinking, and then like always happens, you start seeing the flashlights coming. So everybody starts yelling cops and you start running. My buddy looked at me, he's like, "We need to get the keg out of here," because they tag it with who bought it. And they couldn't get caught. So it's like, all I remember is running through the woods with this thing on my shoulders. We got to where the car was, and we're like, "Oh, we're clear." We could see the car. And all of a sudden we get there, and it's like, no, all the cops park there to go into the woods. So they're sitting there. So it's like, "What do you have?" And it's like, "Nothing." And he's like, "Really?"
I'm actually proud to say that I was never caught running. I was a pretty athletic kid, as you probably can tell. But
I was just dumb.
Never caught. I mean, there were some people that were just like, "You got me." You know,
Like now I would
glasses
just
in class.
The worst I ever got was drunk at a graduation party, and I was driving home the next day, possibly still drunk. And my mother is at the street. We're at a 4-way intersection right down here in Medway. My mother's going to work. I'm trying to go home. We're both the first cars at the intersection facing each other. And because brilliant minds work this way, I panicked and ran the red light. I drive by my mother, who's just sitting there looking at me slowly as I go by, and I'm like, she can't see me. So give it to my car. Why would she not know who I am? And I went home, got a phone call. Why'd you go through that red light? No, I didn't go through a red light.
That must have been John Cena.
I ended up in suspension once because I drove past the school nurse while I was playing hooky. So going down this, and it ended up being like slow motion. She looks at me, I look at her, I'm like, oh shit.
It's a scene from what's that TV show that was really good? Anyway, but I don't know. But did she know you had a drinking problem?
She did then.
There was at least like 4 or 5 places in town that we would drink, you know, off the beaten path. I mean, we named them ridiculous things. Like, actually, Don just said one right there behind the post office and police department. It was actually called Bud Path. And the reason why it was called Bud Path is because all the cans that were on the ground had been stepped on. So it was like a floor of Bud cans. So that was Bud Path. It was ridiculous, man. But the funny thing about that is, none of us really got caught because the cops would come down, everyone would scatter, and they'd just be like, we're not going to bother running after you, and they just go back. So all you had to do was jet out into the woods a decent amount, wait for them to leave, and then come back because they figured everyone was gone.
Yeah. Your dad wasn't a cop in Hopkinton, right?
No, he was not. I would never do that. He was over in Ashland. So
my dad.
He never partied in Ashland.
Good times.
That was fun. You know, a lot of running from cops, a lot of running with beer. Now it's just so easy.
Nice.
Now we want craft beer.
Right.
Well, now if I'm going to drink beer, I want good beer.
And I'm not going to run with this beer because I don't want to.
You are running.
It's too expensive. I don't want to spill that.
Look how little this is. I made a mistake and got a regular sized beer. This is what I normally drink. And this is what I got. But it had such a great. I hope it's good. This is the first time try. Captain Dynamite IPA from Voodoo Ranger. Have you tried this before, Justin?
I have not. Where'd you get that?
I got this at the Vin Bin, actually. First time I'd gone into the Vin Bin in ages. They got a good selection though. So let's see.
All right. Quiet anticipation.
Oh, that's good. I like it.
Good, because that's a lot of branding right there. That better be good with that name.
Oh, I would have just thrown it otherwise. No, I wouldn't.
In the fall, they have like craft fairs. Are they ever going to have like a one for you guys? Like maybe at a high school or something, craft beer fair?
Oh, I still like craft beers.
No, but like with this alcohol, with the cans and the
there should be a craft beer fair. Yes, I agree with you.
Fair.
They should, just like, you know, when all the food trucks get together, there should be a craft beer festival.
Craft beer
fair. They do that.
They do it at like the convention centers, but I've never seen it like out in the wild.
Well, the funny thing is that when it was at the convention centers, it was craft beer, but it was before craft beer was craft beer. You know what I mean?
No.
Well, what was it?
Well, I mean, I remember going to one 15 years ago, and it was like Red Hook, and it was Sam Adams, and those were all craft beers at the time.
Right.
Now now it's tough because I did look into this. I wanted to do one when Rob had the place out in Uxbridge. I wanted to do a beer fest, and you have to pay. And it's the same with food trucks. You have to pay to get them to go there.
Yeah.
Whereas you would think, like with a food truck, it's like you come and sell your stuff, you'll make money. No, we're a good food truck. You got to pay us $500 to come, and we'll take the proceeds.
Yeah, it depends who's who, because if a lesser known one will pay to be there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, why would we care? We can pull up anywhere and we're going to make money.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of food trucks, the Say Cheese truck was mentioned, which is very popular. I've had a few of their selections myself. My personal favorite is the bacon and dill pickle. That one you wouldn't think is good, but God damn it, is that one good?
Yeah. Our friend Maureen is a huge fan. of say
Which
cheese.
one?
Maureen.
Dawn loves it too.
What's the favorites? What have you seen?
Oh, I don't know. They
bacon. I just like the one with bacon and cheese. That's my favorite. It's I'm pretty simple. I mean, if they have to put an egg in there, I probably love it even more. You know, so next time we go, it's like, do you got any eggs on the truck? Just kind of crack one. But I only had it once though. We went up to it was one of those brewery / winery places. It was a very cool place.
Neshoba?
What was that?
Neshoba?
Maybe. I don't know. It was me and Don and Jeff Maureen and Timmy and Kristen. And it was great though. And Seichi was there. And I mean, there's nothing better, like you were saying earlier, than getting, food truck food and sitting down with your craft beers. I love it. So yeah, she likes
pickleback. That's right.
Yeah,
Thank
Jeff
you,
loves
Dawn.
the pickleback too. I like the one with cheese. It's my favorite. What was that?
Jason, you okay?
Okay.
I don't know what that was.
Yeah, his bandana's too tight.
Anybody
being somebody that actually like cooks grilled cheese in mass on occasion with
that's right, yeah,
his lovely wife Barbie. There are some very cool like flavor combinations you could do, because we did the macaroni and cheese and bacon, the pulled pork one, and then there's another one that we did, the regular bacon. That one's always a hit. So
that was awesome.
It was awesome. You know what impressed the hell out of me and surprised the F out of me was I don't like mayo. I hate it with a freaking passion. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth always, pun intended. So when Justin was doing this at one of the first times they were making the grilled cheeses at the Labor Day Bash, I came over and I'm just like, oh, Justin, can you make me one? I'm like, don't even worry about, I know you don't get butter here, but just toss it. And Justin's like, no. He's like, listen, I'm going to put it on there, the mayo, which if in case anyone's wondering, you put mayo instead of butter on grilled cheese to
Hold
cook.
on. Write this down.
Okay. And Justin said, take one bite. If you don't like it, just, I'll make you another one. And I'm like, all right.
Your money back.
Yeah. No, I think I stole it anyways. So I think I was sneaking it under the guise of anyways. So I ate it, and surprisingly, I didn't taste any mayo whatsoever. This was insane.
I've made mayo. I put mayo in mac and cheese before, and it's very good.
Have you fed it to me?
So at that point, it's just the egg. It's the egg and the oil that does it. So the vinegar kind of burns off anyway, but the egg and the oil really kind of give you the crisp. So if you're doing like bulk, so like we were cooking 400 grilled cheeses, trying to do that with butter, you'll be there all day. So it's like if you do the mayo, you get the crisp right away. You don't have to worry about it. You kind of just can do it. So if you're doing more quantity, you can kind of get through it a little faster.
Cool.
It was actually Barbie's idea.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not allergic to eggs, it's good to go.
Probably should have had a sign.
You did.
That's all right. If you've gone to the tradesman, you can survive anything.
You're immune.
What about
they all caught COVID. That's just
what about a French toast grilled cheese? What about that? Have they done that yet?
A what?
A French toast grilled cheese?
Well,
So
I mean,
what
I've
we
done a
wanted to
breakfast
do-
sandwich like that on grilled cheese.
All right.
We wanted to do a fluffernutter grilled cheese.
I don't know about that.
Who moaned?
No, I mean,
It would be, grilled
Take out
bread
the cheese.
with marshmallow. No cheese.
Oh, then that's not a grilled cheese. That's a fluffernutter.
Yeah, the IPA. That's great. Yeah,
Grilled,
look at
it's
that.
like a grilled peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, grilled fluffernutter, grilled peanut butter and jelly. No, that sounds the balls. That's what that sounds.
I think we should. That double IPA sounds good. Double cheese IPA.
That looks gross.
I drink it, but I wouldn't enjoy it.
I try it.
Who said they
I
tried it? Oh,
I tried that tabletop pumpkin pie thing. That was pretty good. From Wormtown. Yeah. All right, guys.
Speaking
So,
of,
hey,
if you haven't been, so Worcester Common Market is right across from the Tabletop Pie Company in the whole new section of Worcester. With like, they redid Kelly Square. and the ballparks are up the street, but they have a Wachusett brewery right there in the Worcester Public Market. So you can do Worcester Public Market, you can get tabletop pies, you can go to the barbecue place that's there, and then you can go to the ball game. So it's all right in that vicinity. So it's a really cool spot if you haven't been.
Well, I think we'll be getting.
And there's a place called the Union Barbecue right down the street from that as well, which is excellent. Which, by the way, Ray, excellent episode tonight.
Hey, thank you.
Great interviews.
Thanks.
Love those
Yeah,
guys.
Steve was
I
great.
haven't seen that movie, the first gentleman that you interviewed. I haven't seen it, but you maybe want to see the movie. And I am a fan of Sydney on the Hill.
Yeah, he's great.
He's really good, dude.
My favorite
Bunch of
part.
fucking assholes.
My favorite part was when you were talking to everybody else.
That's funny. All right. So thanks, everybody. Hey, Bill, nice jumping in with the topic tonight. That was great. Let's give Bill a round of applause.
No.
Top of my head.
I like
Shot
that.
out of a cannon. That's it. Shot out of a cannon.
Next week's topic is going to be: how many times have you said no to drugs and beer?
It's gonna be a short one.
Very few. No, we could talk. Maybe next week we could talk about the first time you freaked out on hallucinogens. Those are fun stories.
All right. Well, I got 7 days to get a story, I guess. Then so.
Let's just remember, many of our parents are watching this show.
As far as I know, I might.
Parents are watching the show. Oh,
my mom watches.
Hi,
My
Mrs.
mom.
Oger.
My mom's a fan.
Hi, Mrs. Oger.
All right, guys.
Ray's
Thank you.
hallucinogens, and he has a drinking problem.
No, I know. I have never done hallucinogens yet.
Ah, yeah.
We're working on that, Ray.
This is a conversation we've all had. Jay, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
You ever been to the redneck party?
All right. Goodbye.
Have you ever been
All
to
right.
the redneck party?
Bye, everybody.